Hello, everybody. Welcome to Telli Talks, where we talk about life, growth, relationships, and all things in between. I have a very special guest with me today, Senate, aka Mr.Checkpoint. And this episode is sponsored by Classic Cat and 8 Lab. Cheers.
Thank you.
To always filming the police.
Always film the police.
And we'll get into that. So for the people that don't know your journey, can you let us know how you got to where you are today?
Yeah. My name is Senate. I'm born and raised in Los Angeles. And I guess I'm from a family of attorneys. And so I always have experiences with the police or in different situations. And then my best friends, they would have different situations. They would be getting in trouble for things they didn't do. I would be getting out of everything that I did do. So I guess I just known there's this big difference between how the police and a system, criminal justice system, treats different people. And then just growing up through different instances, I decided to use social media to start raising awareness. And it actually started with checkpoints. So I saw that, checkpoints really are an infringement of our right. If we're traveling from A to B, we should be able to travel there freely. Absolutely. Without having to talk to cops about saying where are we going, where are we coming from, which are questions we don't even have to answer. But we shouldn't have to have that dialogue at all.
Absolutely.
So I started using social media to tell people where those were. And it really expanded. I'd have my own situations with police where they would say things. I'd say, man, I wish I had that recorded. So I would start filming them. And soon that footage was meaningful to myself. And then I encouraged other people to film. So it's been this natural progression of incidents and personal experiences I've had to then try to fill the voids of how other people could really know their rights and feel empowered with police and other kind of systems that be.
Absolutely. What do you feel like the most uncommon thing that people might not know of their rights that needs to be practiced more?
I would say there's a couple really basic ones. So that we have a right to always film the police. That we don't have to tell
Even
them.
when they tell you, put the phone down.
Correct.
You can film them.
Correct. And actually, I would suggest you don't even let them know. If you and I are having a private conversation, I can't just record you without letting you know in California, right? But police are public servants, and we have to remember that we pay them to serve us, or that's the perception. So as a public servant, we can film and record them without letting them know. I was once pulled over heading home in Santa Monica, and the officer asked me, will you follow my finger? Here in California, we can refuse field sobriety tests, including follow the finger, walk the line. When I did it, the officer was bothered, so he wants to retaliate against me. Step out of the car, I'm going to take you to jail. Now, I stepped out of the car because you have to follow an officer's orders even though you have rights, so there's a difference. If an officer says step out of the car, I believe you should, because the options are he's going to pull you out of the car.
Right.
So
then now you're resisting arrest.
Now you're resisting arrest, right? And so it's a whole nother thing. So I think filming the police and not letting them know is a key. And then that changes everything, because how are you going to talk to the police if you're filming them? I suggest you be respectful. You don't say the things that you can't say. Yeah, we have a right to say F the police, right? But that's if we have a jury one day listening to this, or a judge, we want them to feel empathy and compassion for our situation.
Absolutely.
That's going to happen if we're respectful. No, sir. Yes, ma'am. Whatever it is. But that's also being strict with knowing the rights. So you're filming the police, let's say if the cops pull you over, and now they start asking, where are you coming from? You don't have to answer these questions. You can give them your ID, your insurance, the documents they need to issue a ticket if they want, but you don't have to answer these questions. You can say, I don't answer questions. You can say it as polite as you want, but being firm that when they keep asking you, it's not going to happen. At some point, you could say, am I being detained or am I free to go? The officer will maybe say, okay, you're being detained. Do you have anything in the car? That's when you say, I'm going to invoke my fifth, and I remain silent. And you actually do that until a lawyer is present. They might take you to jail. They might do things that they shouldn't. Can we search the car? That's always a no. The cops are never your friends. If the cops have a reason to take you to jail, they're going to do it. The reason they're asking you questions, the reason they're asking you to search is because they're looking for the reason.
Absolutely.
A lot of people end up giving them the reason. So if you say no, you stay firm to that. The reality is, I know people who've had tons of illegal products in their car and a backpack. It was illegally found because the gentleman said, no, I don't want you to search it. They searched it anyway. He ended up getting a 121-year sentence for everything in his backpack. He's a free person today because they illegally search that backpack. So that goes
Right.
to show, if you exercise your right, even if you're actually in the wrong, if they wrongfully break your rights and you can prove it, that's why footage and filming is so important.
Absolutely.
You'll be able to fight it, and then you could potentially have a civil lawsuit.
Absolutely.
I sued.
And it's crazy how the law enforcement, and particularly the law enforcement in LA, how they go about certain situations pertaining to pulling people over. They'll make an excuse of the windows are tinted, this is going on, and then and illegally search your car based off of assumption. And then they sell this stuff to, like, media pages so they can get paid in addition to what they're already getting paid, so they can make like a little side deal or side hustle. But if you know your rights, if you know to film, and you know to call your lawyer, have that type of representation, that you don't have to put your lawyer on the phone, on speakerphone. You can talk to them privately because that is your right. And these cops will tell you otherwise. Put them on speakerphone, do this, or don't put handcuffs on this person because they're on the phone with their lawyer, and put handcuffs on this person. Like, I've been in a situation that was like that, where I had legal representation on the phone, and the person that I was with didn't have legal representation, and they treated them, differently than they treated me because I had representation. And it's like, well, why are they getting treated this way and I'm getting treated this way? Because I have someone that knows what they're talking about, whether I know it or not, on the phone with me, verifying that this is going on and writing down all these things that's going on, and you guys are treating me differently.
Absolutely.
So if you're gonna give them a reason to search, or a reason to do something that they're not supposed to do because you're allowing it to happen, then you're putting yourself in a situation that you don't necessarily have to be in.
Correct. Absolutely. The cops are guaranteed to lie to you. It's just like, it's really unfortunate, but anything they say is not there to really help you. It's just not. And so it's important to be firm. No searches. I remain silent until my lawyer is present, and then you follow through with that when you say, you don't continue speaking, and that you make sure you film. And unfortunately, I've ended up in a jail cell for something I didn't do, and sometimes that's what happens, and you just kind of have to go with it. But
Right.
This is the process and where we're at.
Absolutely. And it's very, very unfortunate that it has to be this way. And I had a situation where, and this has happened so many times with me here in Los Angeles, because I had a situation where I walked into a store, and I ended up suing this store because they accused me of stealing a day before a holiday. And I went into this store, and it was a situation where they accused me, and when I asked them, when they got me after roaming around the entire mall for hours and hours, and then I was going back to valet, and I asked what the description was, because they said I fit the description, and they said African American in flip-flops. And I was 9 months pregnant at the time. They didn't say a pregnant woman. That could have, eliminated a mass group of people. But it's like, that is very racial to say, like, just African woman in flip-flops, when it could have been described something completely different. So it's just how people go about certain things. Or like a situation where 2 doors down from my house in downtown LA, there was a shooting at this very popular living space, and it was in broad daylight. They had an entire event on the rooftop of this place, and I was on the 6th floor, and I was leaving, and I thought my brother was gonna get like school supplies for my son, and next thing I know, like, they're in handcuffs by the elevator, because someone called in and falsely said that it was coming from my house. But 2 doors down, we had a neighbor that was Caucasian, and he didn't even know that we were outside. But it's like, why put handcuffs on us and not put handcuffs on the surrounding area, or check all the houses there, and not just, like, I had a baby, a 6-month-old, that I couldn't have like diapers for, Pampers for. Like, I'm literally sitting out there in cuffs with my kids, and for no reason, while they destroy the inside of my house, like step in the tub, break glass, and all these things, to where I didn't even feel comfortable living there anymore, and I had to move. So it's like the how they go about searches and how there needs to be some type of like restrictions or regulations that they have to meet to where they don't like destroy things and like, you know, illegally search unless you're giving them the authority to do so.
Yeah, I no doubt. I mean, we need a huge change. I mean, you started by talking about like tint, right? They're pulling us over for
Yeah, the
these things that
simplest
they don't
things that
even
you can just
fix,
like,
right?
yeah,
Like when they
fix the
pull you
tickets.
over and ticket you, they're not making you safer. They're not removing your tint, fixing your taillight. If you
Right.
wanted a service that helped the community, you would actually be helping them. What's
Right.
strange is if you run a red light, you can get that ticket in the mail, right? That's a traffic violation.
Right.
If someone has tint and I'm driving my brother's car, let's say, who owns it, and
Right.
why am I having to talk to an officer with a gun?
Right.
Because my brother had an exhaust on his car, let's
Right.
say. He should get the ticket. The best way to send him the ticket is through the license plate of the car. This is all a setup.
Yeah,
right?
and here was the initial purpose of why we got pulled over was because they said that they could not see the state on the back plate of the license. They saw the entire license plate, but not the state. So when we gave them the license, the registration, the insurance, all the things that we needed to give, it should have been done.
Or now it's
right
something else,
now it's
right?
like, yeah, now it's on this as like we got pulled over for this, and you know we had this in the car, and it's like
What's
now
that? Oh,
yeah, like
you
what's
know,
that, or let me check the entire car, and I'm just like, this is just getting out of control.
And it only happens to some people. You know, I'm being real. Like I've been pulled over a handful of times. I've gotten a lot of tickets. I've gotten a ticket where I swear I didn't have to say one word to the officer. Like I actually recall not having to say one word. Where I was frustrated because like
Right.
I'm ready to use my rights and whatnot.
Right, no,
I'm filming.
110, especially
The
you
dude-
knowing that.
I had my ID and insurance because I always suggest have everything ready. So if the cop
Absolutely.
pulls you over, it was like this. He took it and left. He came back with the ticket. I signed it. I could have had like smoke. It was crazy to me that I didn't have to say one word to this officer. I was able. That's an experience like a lot of people don't get, especially brown
Right.
and black people. It's just they
Yeah.
don't. And
It's
from the
very
police
unfortunate.
to the systems and the judges and the prosecutors, it's all, and unfortunately the juries is really unfortunately been set up to be racist, you know, and hurt a whole group of people and really not affect another group. The best
Right.
example is Lakeith Smith in Alabama, and this isn't just in LA. LA's definitely a big issue here,
Yeah.
without doubt. But you know, in Alabama, there's Lakeith Smith, the case. He was 15 years old. He was the youngest of his group of friends. They went into an unoccupied house and they stole video games. The cops came in. Well, they didn't even end up being able to steal them because the cops came in. Lakeith ran, and the cops shot and killed one of the boys, Adante Washington, by shooting him in the neck and the back. This was over 8 years ago, a time, especially in Alabama, and even here, there was no like police criticism nearly, right?
Right.
So
It's like, don't question them because
Oh.
they have authoritative.
they said that the kid shot back. There's no ballistics, there's no proof, but like you said, the police could tell the media something, they're going to print the story, and that's it.
Right.
In fact, why do private citizens like you and I, when we get in trouble with the police, why is our face plastered all over the media and the
Yeah.
news? But when a cop does anything, they protect him. It's like
Absolutely.
nearly impossible or so hard
Absolutely.
to get the news to show a cop. Those are public servants. They have it twisted. They have the
Yeah.
public servants getting all the privacy and the private citizens
And being protected.
being blown up, being like plastered all over for alleged doing a crime. We're innocent
Right.
till proven guilty.
Absolutely.
All those mugshots, everyone's innocent in a mugshot, nearly,
Absolutely.
unless it's picked up on wanted or something. So
Right.
the majority of them, these are innocent people. And so
Absolutely.
back to Lakeith, they killed his friend. They made it look like he did something he didn't, but Lakeith ran nonetheless. And they charged Lakeith Smith with the murder. The cops killed Adante Washington. The cops that killed him is Mark Ritter and AJ Renfro. Those were the Alabama police officers that killed a child. Nothing has happened to them, I'm certain. And they gave the murder to Lakeith, a 65-year sentence to a 15-year-old who never done anything harmful or violent ever before. He's in a maximum security prison with society's most dangerous people. He's the youngest person. I've looked up people who are sent to those prisons. There's people who mess with kids. He's a kid. And That same judge, Sibley Reynolds, who gave him a 65-year sentence, it was an all-white jury. So that's why we need to talk about jury duty.
Yes.
All-white jury found him guilty. The judge gave him a 65-year sentence. On the same day the judge gave him a 65-year sentence, he heard a case just before it of a gentleman like my age, white guy, Wesley Phelps his name was. He had been in trouble before for abusing a minor, but this time he was in court because he stole a car, high-speed chase. He was high on drugs. He crashed it because the police were behind him and he wouldn't pull over. He was evading them, and his girlfriend died in the passenger seat. That judge that day gave that kid 3 years. That man.
For murder.
3 years, who murdered his
For
girlfriend.
murder his girlfriend,
Gave
high on
65
drugs,
years
avoided
to
the
a
cops.
kid. Yeah.
And gave 65 years to Lakeith, who is a first-time
He was
criminal,
a kid, a 15-year-old kid.
Not juvenile,
harmful, not violent. They charged him as an adult for a murder he didn't commit. It is so outrageous. The same judge, another guy like, again, some 25 or white dude, killed a 3-year-old, his girlfriend's 3-year-old. The judge charged him 15 years one day. Lakeith was just resentenced March 21st of this year. We flew to Alabama. We had support from all over the country. Pastors, Jacob Blake's father was there, family from Breonna Taylor, Chairman Fred Hampton Jr. showed up. We had support from all over to say he should be home. He has a support system. The time should fit the crime. He's done 9 years for stealing video games. And the judge came out of retirement, the same judge I just mentioned, Sibley Reynolds, and said, okay, I'll reduce it 30 years. Double the time for the man who killed a 3-year-old.
Wow.
So,
he came out of retirement just to do that.
Yeah. freelakeith.com. There's some links where you can send it to the attorney general and say this kid should be home with his family. Absolutely. There's a link to the GoFundMe, but we are active. Vice News did a documentary about it, so we've been really pushing forward and trying to get him home. But that's just an example.
One of many.
Of this two justice systems, clearly, that boil down all the way to the level of the police when they're killing people or having no regard for life.
And protection from people that are, irate because of the things that's going on. And, we think we live in this like free country to do what we want. And then we think we're protected by the police, who are using their authority to kind of like control situations that might not even be a situation.
Absolutely. The massacre, the school shooting at Robb Elementary, you had like hundreds of police in front of there. You had like every department, local and not local, all of the ammunition. And those officers were getting hand sanitizer where kids were getting killed. Why? Because this is a fact. Police do not have to protect us. By the Supreme Court, if they are in fear for their life, they don't have to go in there and save you. They do not. They do not have any expectation to save our lives or to protect us. And more than half of our money, of all of our tax dollars, especially here in LA, billions of dollars is going towards the police, who it's a facade that they're protecting us or making us safer. People are stealing food. You have now 5 cops wasting how much? They get paid hundreds of thousands of dollars, hours, because someone stole some food. It'll never make sense until we really change it.
Absolutely. And talking about food, there's so much food in so many places, like restaurants, fast food restaurants, that they throw out that you could just be giving to the homeless people, instead of throwing it out. Like I would personally rather eat leftovers than nothing at all, And it's so unfortunate that like we have situation where we can't feed the hungry and we have the food to do it. It's different if we don't have like all this mass food, but we have it to give, and what do? We throw it out. And it's very, very, very unfortunate that we have these situations around the world, really, of just wasted food. I just genuinely feel like world hunger shouldn't even happen.
Absolutely. No, 1,000%. It feels like a lot of these issues are unfortunately like set up nearly, because
Yes.
there's definitely
Agreed.
solutions. There's like you said, there's food going in the trash and then someone hungry. There's regarding hungry people here. And for me, I'm the biggest of, like, I want to make sure everyone knows our rights. We're here in America. I've traveled the world. You're in some countries, when you hear the national anthem, you have to stand up. That's the law. You'll get
Right.
arrested. You don't stand up. You can't practice that religion that you thought you want to do. You can't date that person. I mean, there's our freedoms in this country are the reason we're all here. And I actually would have this conversation.
Absolutely.
It's our First Amendment right. We can't do this in every country in the
Absolutely.
world.
Mhm.
That's because of our veterans, and talking about hungry people here in LA, we're in the nation's capital of veteran homelessness. And something I think that must be acknowledged to an audience, that you can help raise awareness to,
Absolutely.
is in 1888, very wealthy and powerful families donated over 900 acres to veterans, to disabled and homeless veterans. It was during a time when basically people saw veterans in the street and homeless, and who wants to recruit and sign up to serve your country if you see it. So these really wealthy people with a ton of extra land that they were getting taxed on anyway and weren't developed, had land in Brentwood and West LA. Before Brentwood it was ever a thing.
Oh, wow.
They donated that 900 acres to veterans. They donated money. And right now the West LA VA, it's really called a soldier's home, has over a $1.1 billion budget. How are there 4,000 plus homeless veterans in the streets of Los Angeles when you
And
have
where
over
is that
900
budget going
acres?
to?
You have over $1 billion.
Right.
And unfortunately, it's clear fraud, it's clear corruption. And to me, it's the most egregious, disgusting thing happening to the people that
Absolutely.
sacrifice their life, can use
To
an
serve our
extra hand and
country.
help.
Absolutely.
And now what are we doing? And people should know that at one time, 4,000 to 5,000 veterans on any given night was living on that soldier's home. There weren't homeless veterans here in LA. They were utilizing the property in the buildings, getting served. And now you have things like Brentwood School, which is a $50,000 a year private school, which is federally illegal because it's on the soldier's home. You have UCLA, 3,000 UCLA graduate students living on Veteran Avenue. Think about that. Veteran Avenue. I promise that wasn't for UCLA graduate students. It was for the veterans. So we can actually end veteran homelessness lawfully, morally, ethically, if more people honestly just know that veterans were donated a land, that they shouldn't be charging rent for veterans on soldiers' home. They've already paid their life. They've sacrificed their body, their mind, etc.
Absolutely.
And so that's something that we just have been really calling attention to, raising awareness with, and trying to make change with as well.
Absolutely. No, 110% agree, because I didn't know that there was this donated land to the veterans, and why wouldn't they be able to use that space, or why would they charge for that space if it's donated? And the crazy thing when it comes to like donations or like charity, you have to have a heart for it to get involved. Either someone, either you personally been in a situation, but it's having a nonprofit myself, it's crazy how like certain companies or certain other nonprofits might not accept donations because they want you to be in business for 3 years, or they want you to be accredited for whatever it is that they need accreditation for. And it's just like, it's free money to help your cause. Why wouldn't you want it? Or it's like free land. Why wouldn't you use it? But a lot of people don't necessarily know, like you said, their rights, or know these things that they research and find out that they have this space for that.
Yeah, the people who know, unfortunately, are like these incredibly wealthy, educated people who nearly none of them serve the country, and actually just see an opportunity of incredibly valuable land. I mean, Brentwood, having over 900 acres through Brentwood and West LA, and a beachfront property in Santa Monica is probably some of the most expensive consecutive land.
Absolutely.
That's been donated in deeds to the federal government to be permanently maintained as a home for disabled veterans and homeless and disabled veterans and their families. They don't honor that deed. And I think if enough people woke up and said, yo, our rights are dependent on these people who are being forgotten,
Right.
this stuff will unravel, but it really does take people all over the country
Absolutely.
to say like, wow, I didn't know that either, because
Absolutely.
I'm learning too. You know, I actually didn't know either.
Absolutely. And that's a mass of space. You know, 900 acres is a lot of space.
Yeah, that's 9 times the size of Disneyland.
Yeah,
9
it's
times.
Massive, massive space. So I mean, like, it wouldn't make any sense, even if a quarter or a half of that space was, you know, solely for veteran home, like building homes for these veterans, that could just end it there.
Yeah, instead they build a private school and then put veterans in these sheds. You know, if you go down San Vicente, you see these, like, they're 8 by 8, 64 square foot boxes. They have to walk through dirt to use a porta potty. Disabled veterans have to go through dirt to shower. That doesn't make any sense. The students at the school don't go in a bathroom like that.
And they probably don't know. The students at the school probably don't know that there's this mass space. You know, they're just thinking they're paying this crazy tuition to go to UCLA and be in Westwood and, you know, explore their land on their school student property.
Right.
They're just thinking that it's there. You know, I'm sure they don't know that.
No, absolutely. They think what they're doing is ethical and moral. Exactly. And they're like, we write cards and give them hot dogs and stuff, you know, like literally. But at a high level, it's very unethical. But, you know, when you're at that level and can pay $50K a year, you know, you have different problems, right? And so it's like, well, I say, and some of the kids actually say, they're like, but the veterans have so much land, right? And it's like a good point, right? But because I would raise awareness in front and hold a sign and whatever and let them know,
right?
And it would, you know, make up. They would say different points, but it's like, okay, if you're paying $50K a year for a school, your parents own more than one home. You're gonna let me just borrow one of your rooms or one of your homes for veterans and just say you have other homes? No, that's never going to be allowed. So this idea that they have other land and other space, and no, that doesn't allow to then take it to do what you wish.
Right.
And there's this certainly an entitlement feeling, it seems. Mm-hmm. Brentwood also, in terms of politics, more money comes from like the Brentwood community, which isn't even an official city, to politicians than any neighborhood community in the country. Mm. So they certainly have influence, you know, from a national and local level in politics, and it's a big challenge, but, you know.
Absolutely. But challenges comes with motivation and strength behind numbers. So if more people get involved, how can they reach you to get involved and help with that?
Yeah, I share a lot of it on Instagram through Mr.Checkpoint. I have a link tree there, which has just like a ton of different links to the petitions and kind of the different issues. And as new issues come, we try to help with them and raise awareness. So, yeah, social media. I just try to share a lot on social media. And then we do have a nonprofit, Always for the People. So it's AFTP, Always Film the Police, Always for the People.
Amazing.
And AFTP Foundation is that website. So yeah, people can get involved, support, check it out.
Amazing. Well. And who's the little girl on your
pin? I mean, sadly, tragically, a 14-year-old girl, Valentina Oriana Peralta, and it was the day before Christmas Eve, over 1 year ago, in North Hollywood. She was in the Burlington Coat Factory with her mom. And a gentleman was having a mental health crisis, and LAPD comes in, and a guy rushes in with an assault rifle. His name's William Dorsey Jones Jr., and he shoots 3 bullets, and it kills the gentleman having the mental health crisis, and it also kills Valentina, who was in the dressing room praying with her mom, hoping that like all the commotion would settle. So now her family has had to, there's no justice in that, right? I mean, never. Her mom, you know, her daughter passed away in her arms. This is like the most hard to imagine thing. And here the man who's responsible for killing her is traveling the world. He's a coach working with children after killing a child. LAPD Chief Moore came out and said that all 3 shots fired by William Dorsey Jones were unreasonable and broke LAPD policy. There's no job you can have in this world where your employer says what you did was wrong, the result was 2 people died, and you still are living your best
Oh,
life.
absolutely not.
It doesn't even make sense. And when your loved one or someone you know is really impacted to this level of police violence, how do you ever feel safe? She sees police, she it's like you wouldn't even know what that could feel like.
There's no justice that can validate you losing someone that they can't bring back. And it's like for them to just let this man roam freely after, you have sentences like Lakeith Smith, 65 years, and then you have
Kill
this.
Nobody.
Absolutely.
And
it's just insane, that's a good point.
This guy kills 2 people in one day. Your boss says all 3 shots are unreasonable, and you're probably getting paid leave. He's probably getting paid leave. And this lack of accountability is why police can do whatever they want. They can kill people, they can break the law, they can cheat, steal, sell drugs, do the drugs. And it's like it never happened. And we have to stop this.
Absolutely.
It has to be end. We can't. That's not civil society.
Absolutely. And it's just I cannot think of another word, besides it being so unfortunate that, we live in this like land of the free, and then we think we're being protected by these cops and we're not, and it's like they're protecting themselves and they have people protecting them. But who's protecting us if they're supposed to be the ones protecting us? It just does not make any sense.
People say, like, do you believe in good cops? And I think there's very few. I think it's nearly impossible to be a good cop for long. Why? Go tell on your employer when he breaks the law, and then go have a call next time and see if your employers show up. They tell me it doesn't happen. They say, when I've tried to tell on them, no one shows up on my next call.
Mm-hmm.
You can't.
And then you're banned, and then you're the one that's singled out, and you're the oddball, and you're blacklisted.
Right. That's a good cop. So
right.
A good cop can't really exist in this system, and it's unfortunate. We just got to keep raising awareness on all of it.
Absolutely. So with all the things that you have going on, how do you make time for your wife and your family life?
Probably not. I don't probably do the best job. I try. It's difficult.
Absolutely.
It's difficult because there's a lot of serious issues that I become close with, and it's consuming and it's tough.
Absolutely. And I know it all too well, when we work hard and just, try to help just the community and in the betterment of the life around us, to where, when your wife goes out or you guys go out, she feels protected and she knows her rights. And I'm sure you embed it in her and make sure, like, she's safe at all times. And just, protecting your families and your loved ones, and just having that and knowing that is key and essential, and no one can take that away.
Absolutely.
So I just feel like that's a beautiful thing that you're doing.
Thank you so much.
So for everyone that comes on this show, we play this game. It's called Dirty Minds, the world's dirtiest, cleanest game. Got it? Okay, so we're going to describe, I'm going to play with you so you're not on the hot seat by yourself. We're going to describe a word and we're going to guess what the word is. Okay?
Describe a word and guess what the word is, okay?
All right, I'm going to go first. Okay. I can come by the cord. If you lick me too long, your mouth will go numb. I come in a black cow. If you get me in heat, you should lick faster. To pick me up in a bar, you have to grab my stick. What am I?
A lollipop?
No, close. Ice cream.
Okay. This is crazy. I'm a 4-letter word. I start with an F and end with K. Once you're deep inside me, it's hard for you to pull out. When you're feeling down low, you're in me. If you're in me, you won't want to get out of bed.
4-letter word starts with F, ends with K. What's the first clue?
I'm a 4-letter word.
What's the next one after that?
When you're feeling down low, you're in me. If you're in me, you won't want to get out of bed. Like, when you don't want to get out of bed. You're feeling
I want to say fork. but
Eh,
what is it?
Funk.
Oh, funk. I would have never guessed that. I was like, what's a
This is
four-letter
tough.
word that's not the word that I want to say?
Are we
Okay.
playing the best to one? No, I'm kidding.
1 to 3.
Okay.
Or didn't do 3 each. Okay. I might give you 1 hump or 2. 3 wise men came on me. You can ride me bareback. I usually kneel down before you mount me. You're usually hot when I'm in between your legs.
I want to say camel, but
It's a camel.
what?
Yeah, good job.
Camel. I'm a 4-letter word. You need to be flexible to do me. There can be grunting and groaning before you're finished. You have to spread your legs to show off your lotus. You can do me in several positions.
Oh my gosh. Okay, the second clue.
You need to be flexible to do me.
Split. No, that's 5 letters. What's the next one?
You can do me in several positions. Lotus.
Okay. Gosh. Something to do with like meditation. Yoga. Oh my gosh. I was like, something to do with meditation, but meditation is not a 4-letter word. I should have thought of yoga.
It's like the way it puts it in your head.
Yeah, it's like
tricky.
You got to think not dirty all the time. Okay. After I discharge my juice, I'm useless. A's are small ones. D's are big ones. Lick your finger before you touch my pole will give you a big charge.
Batteries.
Good job. I didn't even get to the last clue.
Yeah, right. I'm a 4-letter word. I'm a name for a woman. I end in unt. Sometimes your uncle makes me come. Sometimes I come with your cousin.
Aunt.
Yeah.
Yay. And that was it.
That was good.
So tell everyone where they can find you, what you have going on, how they can be a part of the things that you have going as well too.
Yeah, I think social media, Instagram at Mr.Checkpoint, always film the police, always for the people. Those are our Instagram pages. We're also on YouTube, so Mr. Checkpoint there, and then aftpfoundation.com. And then in the links on my Instagram, there's a link tree, and we try to update it and show petitions and ways to learn more and show up and help out.
Absolutely. And make sure you guys follow Senate and Mr. Checkpoint on Instagram and all the things that he has going on. And that is it for Telli Talks.